Running a virtual bookkeeping business isn't just a modern day convenience, it is the advantage that will set you apart from your competition. In today's economy, where people want fast results, accountants and bookkeepers who have embraced a virtual model aren't only saving on overhead costs, but they are actually tapping into global opportunities that a physical location cannot match. So if you are an accountant or a bookkeeper who is still tied to a traditional office, you might be limiting your potential for growth. But by going virtual, you'll become more efficient and more profitable while creating the highly sought after personal harmony, aka work-life balance. Hey, I'm Ida, and you're listening to the Bookkeeping Business Growth Podcast, the place where you'll get one actionable item each episode to help you build a soul-satisfying six-figure bookkeeping practice without burnout. I currently run an accounting and bookkeeping practice, and I don't want you to get the impression that I started off knowing everything that I needed to do. How did I get started? Well, I had both clients who I worked with in person and clients who I worked with virtually, and I'm going to tell you the differences that I experienced with both of them. I started a hybrid version, and I would drive to clients' locations, physical offices downtown Montreal, almost across the city of Quebec. And when I got to clients' offices, I would work out of a shoebox sitting at a corner of a desk, or I would have my laptop with me, but it was just the laptop and working with those receipts coming out of a shoebox. And for those of you who are listening to this who are currently bookkeepers, you can probably relate to that. It is highly inefficient working that way. Number one, you're doing a lot of hours traveling back and forth between the client offices. That time that you spend sitting in your car, if you haven't factored in a way to do value-based billing and you're just doing hourly billing, the time of travel isn't considered any billable hour, most often. So you're driving to the client's location, driving from the client's location, that's like 2 hours wasted. And then you're sitting physically at the client's location and you're working out of a shoebox on a computer, which is probably slower than what you're used to working with, or it's a single screen, which is completely different from what you are familiar with working with. And that's stuff that I used to do. I would spend those hours in traffic and out working in inefficient work situations, which a lot of times was lower level work than I was capable of doing. Because you would sit and you would have to sort through receipts, figuring out what goes with what pile, especially when your client is highly disorganized. I remember working with a client who was all the way across town in Montreal. Actually that was in Montreal North, I think. It was almost an hour to get to that location. And the tools, highly inconvenient. I remember another client who, when I showed up to their location, they had said they had everything. When I showed up to their location, they pretty much had a bunch of receipts sitting on the desk. They had a very slow computer, which couldn't even connect with the one that I had. And so I had to sit there trying to figure out how to do work for this particular client. And this client had 2 years of backlog that we needed to figure out. It ended up being something that could have been done much faster had I implemented the method of doing stuff virtually and not actually driving to client locations, because you force your clients to be more organized when they have to send you stuff in the way that you have implemented in your business. So those were some of the situations that I encountered when I was doing the physical, going to client locations, working at their offices, working with physical receipts and stuff like that. And I want to contrast that with a couple of clients that I also had who were virtual clients at the time. The virtual clients were highly, highly organized. Couldn't even compare to the physical location clients, because they would figure out a way, together with me, figure out a way to make sure that their receipts and their documents and everything were organized in different tools that would be easy for them to have the paper trail, but also I don't have to go and sort through receipts, and I would actually do the value work, which is what I was being paid to do. And when I decided that I wasn't going to be doing the client locations and I wanted to do a virtual method, it allowed me to not only have clients who were local to my location, but it allowed me to have interprovincial clients. And up until this day, I have clients whom I have never met, but we work seamlessly together because we have implemented methods that allow us to work together in the way that I'm trying to communicate right now. So when you decide that you're going to run a virtual bookkeeping office, there are 5 things that you should put into place right now in order to allow you to do the work that you want to do. The first thing is that you got to embrace cloud accounting software. In my case, I use QuickBooks Online, but you can think of QuickBooks Online, you can think of Xero, and you can think of Wave. Those three are very good. My preference is for QuickBooks Online, just because it's easier for me and I've used it for a very long time. Is it the best? Not necessarily, but for the clients that I work with and for the things that they need, it makes a lot of sense to have them all on QuickBooks Online. And I only accept clients who work on QuickBooks Online at the moment. So with a cloud accounting software, you can manage your clients' finances from anywhere. There's no more paper trails or in-person visits, just real-time access between you and your clients, and you streamline the processes that are going to make it more efficient for you to keep your clients happy. So the first thing is the embracing cloud accounting software. The second thing I'm going to tell you to do is that you will be able to create an optimized work environment for yourself. You optimize your work environment for flexibility. You set up a workspace that suits your lifestyle, whether it's from your home or from your co-working space or even on the go. The flexibility of a virtual office means that you have lower overhead costs and the freedom to work wherever you feel most productive. The third thing would be that you will be able to leverage global talents and clients as well. Like I said, I currently have clients that I have never ever met, but we communicate using other methods, which is going to be point 4 that I'm getting to. But having a virtual office allows you to leverage global talent and clients, and it allows you to attract clients from around the world. You just need to decide what it is you're doing, right? In my case, I work with Canadian clients, and so I'm able to work with clients from coast to coast. You're no longer confined to a local market, which means that you have more opportunities to grow your business. Now, in growing that, it takes me to point 4, which is you need to be able to streamline communication with digital tools. This is extremely important when you are having a virtual office. For me right now, my favorite tools I use, I can't do without Zoom or means of having online meetings with clients. You could have Zoom, you could have Teams, you could have a Google Meet. There's so many of them. Personally, I love Zoom and I use that. So those communication tools that you definitely need to put in place would be the ability for you to have face-to-face meetings with your clients using one of those tools I've mentioned or any other one. Now, the ability as well to communicate with your clients. It doesn't have to be synchronous. It could be asynchronous. For example, I use the tools like Vimeo and Loom, and I know Zoom has done something which is also similar to that, which allows you to create clips. What is that useful for? If you want to be able to explain something to your team or to your client without necessarily requesting a meeting, you can record yourself doing a particular transaction. Say, for example, you have a client who wants to learn how to do their own bank reconciliation, and you've explained it to them in a meeting, or they have a question and you want to send them a thing that they're going to be able to use later on. You could record yourself doing the transaction or processing that kind of transaction on a Loom video, and you shoot that over to them. It could be a 3-minute video, 5-minute video, or a longer video, but that saves you on time that you would have taken to book a meeting with the client, which is not necessarily the most productive thing to do, because what they want is the answer to that question, and ideally have something that if they forget what you explained to them, they could come back and look at it later on. And so I really enjoy using tools like Vimeo and Loom and Zoom clips. Those are things that are available right now. Now, that was the point of streamlining communication with your clients using digital tools. Now, the fifth thing that having a virtual firm allows you to do is that you can focus on digital marketing and your online presence. It's so critical to be able to do that. You need to invest in your online presence, and you could have a professional website, because most people would want to look for you on your professional website. You don't have to have it, but it's nice to have. But you want to be active on social, and you want to have a content marketing strategy that allows clients to be able to find you. Because you don't have a physical location per se, you still want your clients to be able to find you when they're looking for you. So you want to have an online presence that communicates to your clients or potential clients what it is that you do and how they can find you, how you can serve them. And by putting out valuable content that serves your ideal client, it positions you as a person who knows what you're doing, can be of service to them, and they get to know you even more and more, even before they reach out to you. Because trust me, before somebody reaches out to you, they have tried to look for you in other places like LinkedIn or maybe social, or they look for you. So you want to make sure that you invest in creating an online presence that speaks to the kind of person or the kind of business that you are. It doesn't only save you time on traditional advertising costs, but it also allows you to reach a broader audience and establish your brand 24/7. So if you were thinking about starting a virtual bookkeeping business or accounting business right now, it might all seem daunting, but honestly, it is not. Because if you simply apply the strategies that you are learning, you are going to be ahead of the curve, and you don't have to do it alone. I currently have a program, Growth Hub for Bookkeepers, where we help accountants and bookkeepers who want to establish their businesses, grow their businesses to 6 figures and beyond. We coach and mentor clients through the program. And if that's something that would be useful to you, check on the link somewhere in the description below and go get started. And if you want to know more about how you can get started on a thing like Upwork, which is the platform I recommend to easily get started with finding clients, check the video right here next to me.